The movie is set in 1719 in the northern Great Plains, where Naru, a young Comanche woman trained as a healer, wishes to become a great hunter like her brother Tabe, and practices her hunting skills every day in the forest with the help of her trusted dog Sari. One morning, she rises early like she always does and sets for the forest to collect herbs for making different traditional medications. But she is distracted and instead spends the morning target practicing, during which she sees a deer and tracks it to hunt with the help of Sarai. During the tracking, she sees a light in the sky that she mistakes for a thunderbird, which in her culture signifies kutamia, one's readiness for the big first hunt. So she starts chasing the deer, relying on the sign she thought she received. The deer, who has been spooked by the light, runs for its life. She chases it vigorously, but it escapes and she returns to free and treats Sari, who had gotten stuck in a bear trap, while helping her in the chase. She puts one of her meds on its tail and it immediately feels better. The next day, Naru joins Taabi in the forest and tells him that she believes that she's ready for her kutamia, her big first hunt, and that she saw what she thought was the thunderbird. Tabe, being the big protected brother that he is not convinced. Later that day, while preparing medications with her mother for the injured war chief, Naru explains that her passion for hunting stems from the doubt everyone has in her abilities. Meanwhile, Tabi brings home a special red-tailed bird that he managed to hunt in difficult weather conditions and is praised by their mother. In the next scene, an alien vessel is seen dropping off a half-invisible creature in the forest. Meanwhile, Naru is sent to bring a herb from the forest. There, she finds her village boys trying to locate their friend Puhi, who had been taken by a lion. Naru joins the search party much to the dismay of the boys, and after Tabi vouches for her skills. After some time, Naru and the boys locate Puhi, who is heavily injured and barely breathing. Naru gives him some medication to cool his blood, and some of the boys take him back to the village while ordering Naru to join them, as it's not safe for her to stay in the forest any longer. She ignores them, stays back, and warns them not to let Puhi get warm, as it would worsen his condition. The other half continue looking for the lion. Later that night, Naru walks around questioning why Puhi was left alive and what could have scared the lion off, and sees a snake that has been skinned and gutted. Terrified and suspicious of her discovery, she runs to find Tabe, who has gone looking for the lion, to inform him that there's something more sinister going on and to advise him to be careful. Tabe is not too concerned by the information and urges her and the rest to focus on finding the lion. Naru then tries to think like the lion and proposes to lay a bait for it, climb a tree, and wait for it to come to them. No one supports her plan except Tabe, who once again not only convinces the boys of her idea on her behalf, but also that she needs to take the lead in catching the lion. He then encourages her by telling her that this is her kutamia, and emboldens her further by telling her to scream at the lion that this is as far as it goes, and that that's it. Then as Naru climbs a tree and prepares herself for the task ahead, one of the boys is attacked by a wolf right in front of her. The wolf then proceeds to attack her, and she tries to fight back but is distracted by an unusual light in the distance and is knocked off the tree and injured. Tabe carries her home, and she finds herself in the hut with her mother, who tells her that Puhi is okay because of her medicine and cautions her that kutamia is about survival and not about proving a point. Later, Tabe returns with the carcass of the lion. The cultural ritual is performed, and he is crowned war chief in front of his proud mother and the whole village by the village elders. Naru is not satisfied with the feat, believing that there's still something more going on in the forest and that they need to find it out soon. This leads to an argument between the siblings, and Tabi exclaims that even though she tried her best, her plan to catch the lion didn't work, and they had to improvise and were endangered because of the poorly laid plan. The next day, she takes Sari on a solo hunting trip to find out more, as nobody else would believe her claims. In the forest, a wolf hunts down a rabbit, only to be hunted by a predator that seems to sense the body heat of organisms and uses it for its attack. While on the other side of the forest, Naru keeps working on her target practice, visibly improving day by day. Then Naru goes deeper into the forest, following strange track marks and finding the skinned wolf, while the predator is seen melting the wolf's skull with a small gadget to wear it as a mask and practicing its ability to render itself invisible. Then Naru watches from afar, fascinated as a bear hunts and kills an animal. But all of a sudden, the danger turns to her as he smells her scent and starts chasing her and Sari vigorously. Sari keeps distracting by running around and attempting to bite him. After a long chase, just when she is trapped and about to be killed, the invisible predator comes and violently attacks the bear, but the bear holds his own and fights back. Amidst this chaos, Naru hides and watches intently. The predator manages to overcome the bear and kill it, dripping itself with the bear's blood, and finally revealing its gigantic form in the process. He then gets to Naru's hiding place, looks at her, and surprisingly, he peacefully walks away from her. Later, as Naru is still shocked and trying to process what she witnessed, she runs into some village boys Tabe had sent in search of her. She tries to reason with them by explaining that she saw a Mupitzel-looking creature, a monster in the children's stories they all grew up listening to. The boys don't accept her narrative and make fun of her. Then a physical fight breaks out, and they manage to tie her to transport her back to the village. They then take some rest before starting the journey back, at which time they see raccoons running toward them. Despite being tied, Naru suggests for them to ask themselves why all the raccoons seem to fleeing towards them and what could be chasing them, but typically, the boys don't heed this warning as always. At this moment, the predator appears out of nowhere and kills the boys one by one in a grisly manner, despite their valiant efforts to fight back. Naru, still tied behind a tree, witnesses the whole ordeal and manages to cut the tie and flee as it pursues her, following her body heat. But as she keeps running further, she falls into a bear trap and falls. The predator catches up to her and watches her without hurting her until a group of Frenchmen looking to capture the predator come and take her as their captive. At their camp in the forest, the Frenchmen imprison and interrogate her through a translator about what she knows and what she saw of the predator. When Naru refuses to help them, they bring out Tabe, who they have also captured, and torture him as she watches. They then change their mind and tie them both to a tree in the middle of the forest to use them as bait to lure the predator out of its hiding. It works, but while the Frenchmen hide surrounding the tree and wait for the bait to work, the predator comes from behind and kills most of them. Then he throws a bomb-like gadget to kill more of them from afar while they shoot him. The siblings, still tied to the tree, start reminiscing. Tabi admits that it was indeed her plan that helped them catch the lion the other day. Terrified by the chaos around them, they keep sharing nostalgic moments while trying different possible ways of freeing themselves. Finally, Naru manages to cut the tie loose and free them, while surmising that the predator doesn't use bait as its way of hunting, and concluding that it hadn't killed her earlier because he didn't think of her as a threat. Once free, Naru and Tabi separate. He goes to get some horse to use to fight the predator, while she goes to free Sari from the French camp. There, she fights the rest of the Frenchmen, wins, and gets him. Then as she is about to leave the camp, one of the injured Frenchmen asks her for help with his leg wound and begs for her to give him some herbal medicine. She gives him some to help him cool his blood, and in exchange, he teaches her how to use a pistol. Then, the predator comes to the campsite but can't sense anyone, while the wounded man plays dead using his lowered body heat, and Naru hides. Then, as it walks around looking for its next prey, he steps on the wounded man, causing him to shriek in pain, which the predator hears and uses to kill him immediately. As Naru and the predator face off, Sari distracts it, giving the opportunity to the approaching Tabi to gallop on his horse from behind and attack it. Then Tabi manages to throw the predator's mask off its face, which panics it and causes it to misfire its weapon. Naru, hiding behind a tree and preparing her bow and string, observes that the predator needs its mask to shoot precisely and moves to help Tabi, but unfortunately, the predator renders itself invisible, appears behind Tabe, and kills him as she watches in horror. Devastated, she flees the camp. As she walks away from the camp, she sees the leader of the Frenchmen on a hill by himself. The only other survivor in the forest quietly sneaks up on him and attacks him as vengeance for her brother. She then decides to use the predator's view of her as non-threat as her threat. She takes some herbal medicine to lower her body heat, uses the Frenchman as bait as he had tried to use her and Tabe, and lures the predator. The predator attacks and kills the Frenchman as Naru quietly moves behind him, shoots her gun, and knocks the mask off his face. Naru discreetly takes the mask and sets it up on a tree in front of the Po. Angered by this, the predator starts reacting violently, and a rigorous battle ensues. Naru and Sari fight with everything they have and manage to injure and slow down the predator while trying to survive its wrath. Sari does its part by barking non-stop, jumping around him and trying to bite him. Then Naru leads, pushes, and sinks the predator into a mud pit that she had prepared earlier. But after some struggle, it manages to emerge from it and faces her as she sits in the distance under the tree carrying the mask. Its frustration then boils over, and it shoots her as she hoped it would. and it misfires as it doesn't have his mask on. The bullets fly into the mask she has prepared in the tree and bounce back to the predator's head, killing it once and for good. Naru sighs a huge sigh of relief. Then a little girl goes around the village notifying the villagers of Naru's safe arrival. Naru paints her face with the predator's green blood and brings the predator's head and the gun to the village elders as her proud mother watches. She then warns them that there is danger nearby and advises that they need to move to easier protected grounds. The elders then recite their ritual and crown her a war chief as she exchanges an encouraging smile with the inspired little girl. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.